Don't say anything you don't want to say, like you don't want put into the episode because we're rolling.
That's a threat, Brandon.
You know how they say be nice to the cooks because they handle your food? Be nice to the editor because they handle the footage.
And you're so great
You're so great. You're so nice and kind and, make us all have the best life.
I'm never not nice.
Yeah, never not nice.
Yeah, double negative. See what I did there?
I wasn't going to point it out. I'm just saying.
It's a writer's joke. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Kill of the Week. I am one of your co-hosts. I am Brandon, and sitting in the boxes surrounding me, I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves because I'm tired of doing it every fucking episode. So starting with who's above me is Jill, because you guys don't have the same squares I do. So introduce yourself.
At that point, why don't you just announce us?
Everyone at the same time.
Say their name.
Fine, whatever. I'm Brandon with my cohorts here. We're sitting with Jill, Chris, Carly, and Moll, returning guest Moll, that everyone would remember from the first episode of the new season where we talked about Lion King. Welcome back, Moll.
Hi.
I see that you had not a terrible time in order to join us back again.
It was okay.
I forced them to come. I dragged them by their hair and I said, "Get in the chair."
And I've got a lot of that. So.
Yeah. We're almost that same length, I think.
That's true.
Twinsies. So Jill, since this was your pick technically, so why don't you tell everybody what they're listening to if they didn't read the title ahead of time?
Tonight we're talking about Titanic and the fact that Jack may or may not have been able to survive. There you go.
All right. Perfect. Yeah, sum that up real easy.
I mean, it's Titanic, so there's this boat, and there was this iceberg, and there was this little hoary girl on the boat. There's a poor boy.
Yeah, we have a
There's some
lot.
jewelry, men. It's a whole thing.
There's
something about a car. I don't know.
Something about a car, steamy windows.
There's some dancing and alcohol involved. There's different levels of class.
So yeah, there's a lot to unpack with the Titanic. We're obviously talking about James Cameron's Titanic from 1997, not its sequel. That there was an animated sequel to the Titanic.
Wow,
this is the movie we should do for a.
That would be perfect. What is the sequel? Because what do they do? Go underwater and
No.
mermaid? Like what is it? What do you do?
It's called like
We fish?
Zombies.
No, it's called like Titanic 2 and the legend continues or something like that.
There's
The
another.
legend is dead. They're all dead.
It's like the iceberg, the villain. It's like the same iceberg. Strikes again.
I mean, it has been. I mean, that Titanic is still killing rich people to this
I
day.
gotta find it.
It really is.
What's that mean?
No, it's Titanic. The Legend Goes On.
That's what it is. Yeah.
From 2000. It's an animated film.
And it follows some like animals, like animated animals, including it says in the Wikipedia article, most notably a rapping dog. To give you a good.
Sound like just Jonah of Arc, like the Noah's Ark, not Jonah of Arc.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we can all safely say we have all seen the Titanic, right? Show of hands of everyone who's seen Titanic. All right, cool. Everybody has seen this movie. Who here is old enough to have watched it on the dual VHS tape that was put out?
Why you got to do that? It's everyone but Carly, of course.
I think that's the only way I've ever watched it. I didn't watch it in theaters, but like, again, Titanic.
No, I never saw it in theaters. I remember it being on the news that people were talking about how many times they saw it in theater, but I never saw it in theater. Yeah.
So, okay. Do you remember, Jill, starting with you, do you remember your first time watching Titanic?
No, I don't know. It's just always existed as a double VHS in my childhood home. And some of it, I don't know how I was allowed to watch it at a young age.
Fair. Carly, how about you?
Titanic, I literally couldn't finish it the first time because it got so scary. When the water started rushing in, I had to turn it off. I didn't watch it for years after.
All right, fair.
Did you not know what was going to come and what was happening? Like, it was a big surprise?
I mean, I didn't think it was going to be so intense. I was in middle school when I first saw it, and I was like, oh, hey, that's really scary. I didn't know boats could do that. I didn't know boats could not work.
Well, when you hit an iceberg, right?
So sink it.
I didn't
There's
know
through the
boats could
hall.
not work. That's the fucking tagline for this whole episode. I didn't know boats cannot work.
I mean, it worked for a while, but then
Oh shit, that was good.
It's
Maul,
also- that's also like the premise of the movie, though, is a bunch of people thinking that boats like would not work. Like
boats, how do they work?
the hubris of white people, I guess, is the scale of
Yeah,
The-
white
the
people on the
lesson.
white people on the water, white people on ice, rather, is what this film should have been called.
Thin ice.
Yeah, thin ice. Thank you, Maul. When's the first time you watched this film?
oh god. I think I saw it as a kid, but I actually recently rewatched it because I didn't remember it. Until I went and rewatched it. I think it was like 2 months ago. Very timely for this. And I think my rewatch was when I had like the biggest impression of it because I knew the premise. I mean, who doesn't know the premise of the Titanic? But rewatching it, I was very struck, for lack of a better word, with how the transition from, like everyday life to this massive tragedy happening, and that like transition. Because the majority of the film is a romance film, and then you get to the real life aspects of the tragedy of the Titanic. And it was really cool to rewatch it a few months ago.
Hell yeah, Chris, how about you?
well, the entire movie, like what my
First time you've watched Titanic?
oh my goodness, that was years ago. Like I remember all the hype around it, being like, yeah, my God, it's the best movie ever made, and I finally got around to watching it. And well, I watched it in like bits and pieces because it was so long. But as I was watching, I was like, yeah, this movie's really interesting. Like I'd always been into like historical dramas and stuff like that, and I wasn't the biggest into like romance movies at the time, but I thought it was just like it was an interesting movie, and I could see the appeal to it. And from a technical standpoint, I remember how impressive it was. I remember that's what got me the first time, because when they were hyping this movie when it came out, they talked about how expensive the sets were and how they built an entire like sea inside of a building just to like sink it. And it was fun watching that as a kid, like watching how, wow, look how they like sank that entire set and how they're all swimming in that water and pretending it's cold, but it's actually like heated and nice.
It was not. It was actually
It
really, really freezing.
Oh, okay. They didn't.
No. Yeah. So we'll get into set conditions in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Jack could have actually died.
They all
Yeah.
could have actually died.
That was like a whole thing. Let me get my first time out of the way, and then we'll go into some set conditions since we're like already kind of leading into that. I remember the first time I watched this was around the time it came out, maybe the year after, because my neighbors across the street growing up were obsessed with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Nice.
So he was the epitome of beauty in the 90s with everything that he had going on. I think people even found him attractive in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, but people loved Leo. So my neighbors rented it on that dual VHS tape, and we all watched it. And this came out in 97, so I want to say I saw it around 98 maybe, when it was already out on video, 98, 99. I was like 7 or 8 years old. I hated it. I did not give... I was a child. I did not have the attention span for a 3-hour movie with an actor I did not give 2 fucks about.
Well, it's really not a movie.
It's really not a little girl.
Like, honestly.
Yeah. It was just like we were all around the same age, and like my neighbor across the street, Nicole was her name. She was maybe like 2 years older than me, and then her older sister was like into Leo. So we're like, she was gonna do whatever her older sister did, watch the movies. So we're all hanging out over there and watching it. And I was like, this is awful. I fucking hated it. But we rewatched it recently. It was my first time watching it, probably in like 10 or plus years at that point. And I think I agree with Chris. It's actually like a very well written film that kind of keeps you engaged. I can say I like it more now. And with more respect towards James Cameron as a filmmaker, I think I can take it better in strides. So let me get into, I have my notes here for anyone that's following on terms of notes. A lot of the stuff was taken either from the wiki or IMDb, so you can cite them from there. They were actually in like really cold fucking water when they were doing this. They did a combination between miniature models and like working in pools when they were like completely wrecking the ship, which is really fucking cool. So hold on, I'm trying to find, there was one bit. Oh, here we go. Many cast and crew members came down with colds, flus, and even kidney infections after spending hours in the cold water, including Kate Winslet. Some of the crew members started out wearing hip waders, but after several incidents where these accidentally filled with water, they quickly switched to wetsuits. Several people left. 3 stuntmen broke bones, and both cast and crew got exhausted from all the peril and long days of shooting. Both Kate Winslet and James Cameron admitted that they often woke up on shooting days thinking, please God, just let me die.
And then they cash their checks. Like, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's
And
still
they made
like
$1 million after. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense though. That must have been a really tough thing to film. You're basically like, you know, after like going through makeup and everything, being like doing all this shit in like chest deep water for hours and hours and hours, and it wasn't even like heated because it was so much they couldn't like. I'm assuming they couldn't afford to heat it, or there was some sort of technical issue in that regard.
I mean, so the final scenes, they were shot in a 4-foot deep indoor tank designed to feel like the open ocean. So yeah, they probably didn't really have anything to heat the water with, as well
I think
as
at that budget they just chose not to.
you know, I thoroughly believe that because James Cameron is famously, not only famously known for being a filmmaker, but he's actually famously known for being one of the only people to actually go down and see the Titanic.
Yeah.
Numerous
You
times.
go down and see it and able to come back up after seeing it.
Yes. He like notoriously went down like a bunch of times prior to filming, getting as many notes as he can and things like that. So like the whole Bill Paxton bits, like when they're like finding it, was like based off of him actually going down there and like finding the Titanic, which is pretty fucking rad, if you ask me.
That's cool.
He went on.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Chris.
I was just saying, like a fun little tidbit. He also went to the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
Damn.
Yeah, he holds one of like the world records of like going like the deepest or something like that.
Jesus. Yeah, according to this, he went on 12 dives to the actual Titanic himself and found seeing the sunken ship an overwhelmingly emotional experience. During his first trip, he was so goal-oriented that he managed to film the shots he wanted, but as soon as he was back on the surface, he broke down in tears after finally realizing the magnitude of the historical tragedy he just witnessed, and he has spent more time with the ship than the living passengers did.
That's amazing.
Nuts.
I mean, it's devastating what happened. The whole situation could have been completely avoided of not worrying about the aesthetic and having enough lifeboats, but it was a moment in time, and even in today's world, class matters. So
yeah, so why don't we get into the actual, like, before we start talking about the kill, we can't talk about the actual kill that we're going to talk about. I think everyone already knows what we're going to talk about.
I said it.
Right?
Did I not say that the kill was that he may or may not have been able to live if someone would have shared the door?
But before we can even get to that, we have to talk about the events that lead up to it, because it's fucking insane. And there's a cool there's a cool little theory that I want to touch upon, but before we even like get to that point, but yeah, this whole thing of this made up love story that James Cameron wrote to like tie it in. Do we think the movie would have worked with or without the love story, or we need the love story to make this film work?
Well, that's what the movie was.
I know that's what the movie was, but could you have a movie about the Titanic without it?
No, because at that point it just becomes a documentary. I think you needed the Romeo and Juliet love story to keep people interested.
For sure.
There's a history around it because there's so much history and so much information that was accurate and being kept to it. Taking that out would just become a documentary about the Titanic.
No, I disagree. I feel like you could craft a pretty,
You have to care about the people that are going down with the ship, though.
Well,
I mean, I guess
like you can like I don't know, like brew up some like bullshit drama between like the captain and this people, and kind of like come up with some sort of like I don't know, like in some sort of conflicts between like the upper management, and we can't have this, like maybe some sort of engineering thing, like they made a movie about the Challenger disaster where the engineers were trying to get the NASA to tell them, hey, this thing's going to blow up if you try to launch it because of this, that, and the other thing, these design flaws, and the bureaucracy of NASA just ignored it. I figured like you could have like a similar type of thing with the Titanic, maybe, and I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there. It's like really open pitch.
So you mean that's gonna be Titanic 3? We're still dealing with this shit.
What are we gonna do with that one? Stop motion.
She's alive.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, there was like that Ghost Shark movie, right? So we can make like Ghost Titanic that's still killing people.
Ghost. They did that. It's called Ghost Ship.
Oh my God. I have to agree with Jill. I think that the amount of death I think death in general is really hard for people to see themselves as a part of, and to understand just how much that affects you. And I think that without the romance in the first part of the movie, people would not nearly have internalized the seriousness of the tragedy in the second half.
Fair. No, I'll give you guys that one. Just to quickly go back to filming conditions, because I found a note that got lost. While the water was not actually freezing, it was kept cold for realism. So James Cameron,
it's like I said, he could have heated it if he wanted to.
He purposely kept it cold.
What a bummer.
Asshole.
Fucking wild. But yes, I do
feel guilty to that, because we could have very easily changed aphasia that it was during the summer instead of making Jess and Dre wear sweaters on the hottest day of the summer. So sorry, guys.
Plot driven. But no, I do agree with you two about the idea of like wanting to feel bad for these people, because they were the only people that you can care about on this boat. They're literally,
you care about his little friend and then the cute Irish guy and the little girl.
No, you don't care about those people because they only show them like 3 times in the 4-hour movie.
You have no soul. You didn't care about the cute little girl with like curly hair and she's like a little adorable. And
I don't remember.
I don't remember her either.
Like, remember when like they went down and they were doing like the dancing scene?
No.
There's a little girl that was like in love with you, and then they show her multiple times, and she's just like Shirley Temple with like brown hair. Like she's
but didn't she save though? Because she was like part of.
No, she's dead. Everyone's dead.
No, didn't Billy Zane scoop her?
No, it was a different child. And then the old couple that dies like in the water. Like, you have no soul. You don't care about these people.
No,
we didn't spend enough time to care about like grandma and grandpa drowning. No,
I did not care about anyone else on that boat because they did not give me a reason to.
What about the old couple that was laying in bed?
That's what I just said, but Brayden doesn't care about
them. Really? You didn't feel anything from that?
No, the only other people
spend time with them.
No, the only other people that I cared about on that boat was the fucking band, because I gave them mad respect because they kept playing as the ship went down.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a true fact too? I've heard that a little bit, but I don't know how verified that is.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I know the old couple was based off of a real fact.
Oh, didn't they find like bones or something in like a bed or something?
Yeah, they like based that off of an actual thing.
You didn't care about like the woman who was like tucking her kids in, knowing that they were poor and they weren't gonna even bother to try.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about her. Holy shit!
Right?
Oh man, that was a
We
hard
didn't
one.
have time with them to care that these children like don't even have a chance. They're just down there. Yeah.
Yes, it's not based. The entire band didn't play, but excuse me, the violinist Wallace Hartley played his violin to try and keep people calm.
Oh, that would stress me out. It'd be like someone shut that guy up right now.
It gets quicker and quicker as
Right.
it goes on.
God.
Yeah, Flight of the Bumblebee gets really fucking terrifying as you're going
I
down.
can imagine in the moment you would even hear him, but it's so emotional. They regardless of how much time you spend with these people, you feel how much they're going through with that moment as it's going down, the chaos of trying to get to a boat, not getting to one, the ship falling apart. Like, it's just horrible.
And this is something I wanted to say earlier too, is that, you know, one thing that struck me, I don't go back and like watch older films as much as I should. And what I noticed was just how the amount of lawn shots in older films like this.
Oh yeah.
And I think that, you know, lends credibility to just like it feeling so heavy, because you have these lawn shots throughout the beginning of the film that like you wouldn't normally have like in films nowadays, and they still did the same thing as the tragedy is going down. So while you have like lawn shots in the submarine of the Titanic, you also have really lawn shots as well as people are dying. And that was really impressive, and I think like really made the point of the film hit home.
Oh yeah. They use a lot of those shots. Like, they don't want to take you away. Like they definitely wanted to encapsulate you in this. And that's what, you know, James Cameron is really, really good at, is in you know, embodying you into a story. I mean, I didn't see the second Avatar film, but the first Avatar film used a lot of that as well, and really made you feel for like the Na'vi people and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I 100% agree. They did a really great job with that.
Yeah, especially when you know, like juxtapose it with when towards the beginning when Leonardo DiCaprio and his friend are first getting on the ship, and like there was a lot of like long shots, like wide shots of the you know, like the ship departing and the like the ticker tape or whatever, and everybody waving, you know.
Wait, one of the things that he does really well, like he understands scope. You know, like, because I mean, watch Terminator 2. Like, he really knows how to bring you into those worlds. Because did he do Alien? He was the one that did Alien, right?
No. Aliens.
Aliens. Yeah, all right. So he did the second one. So, but yeah, even with that, like, he's putting you into this fucking environment and making you feel for, like, when, again, with Bill Paxton, game over, man. Like, you fucking feel that.
Over, man, game over.
So with this, we're talking a lot about like the cast and everything like that. The film stars obviously Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. It also has a huge cast. We talked about Bill Paxton in it, but it has Kathy Bates, Billy Zane, David Warner, Bernard Smith. It is a top tier fucking cast in this movie. Could you see, I'm only asking this because one little tidbit of a note, could you see anyone else playing Jack other than Leonardo DiCaprio?
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Wow.
Sorry. And just put Johnny Depp in everything.
He was the first one offered and considered for the role and turned it down.
Yeah,
Was
honestly,
doing something else at the time? I forget the timeline.
He didn't have that youthful innocence to him. by that point. I don't think.
Yeah, he probably had more grit. He was just too beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's put the creepy one in. It's fine.
I don't
Let's see,
know.
what did he do around that time?
97.
97.
Isn't that around when did From Hell come out? That was like
From Hell was
99, right?
Yeah, that was a little bit later. This was around more or less of like Edward Scissorhands and
Edward Scissorhands was 90. That was way earlier.
was it way? Oh, it was way earlier.
Mm.
Yeah, he did a lot of shit in like the early 90s, and then he had like a little bit of a hiatus situation. Then the 2000s he came back again.
I'm trying to find his filmography, which shouldn't be as hard as it is right now.
Could you imagine being the schmuck who turned down the Titanic?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes, but Johnny Depp could get away with that.
That is true.
And anyone else, that would be career ending.
It says that
Johnny Depp.
he regrets it, so I don't blame him.
I also could
for
consider what's his face, like Ryan Gosling, or like one of the other little pretty boys of the '90s. You know,
Ryan
like,
Gosling was
Jensen.
He was a baby.
at that point. Yeah,
Whatever.
he was like a kid.
You know what he was doing? He was
doing Are
Donnie
You Afraid of the
Brasco.
Dark? Huh?
Yeah, Johnny Depp was doing Donnie Brasco in '97.
I don't even know what that is.
What is that?
It was a gangster film.
Oh,
Obviously,
clearly
the Titanic.
Yeah.
he chose wrong. We don't even know what that movie is. He chose
what about Christian Bale? I think he might have been
Christian Bale would have been
great
good.
for that part, but he wasn't a big enough star at that point. Like he was in Newsies, and he was in like stuff where he was a kid, but he wasn't quite. I think that would have been a really cool role for him.
That would have been cool.
He doesn't hold a candle to frickin' Leonardo DiCaprio, though. Like honestly, like I couldn't think of any DiCaprio.
When did fucking American Psycho came out 2000? Never mind.
That was like
That's what I was.
2001.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to see. Because he did have that baby face at that time. But yeah, so Johnny Depp turned down the role and regrets it, rightfully so. But yeah, so I think this was like in terms of story, it's a fucking Lady and the Tramp situation.
Yeah.
Very melodramatic. Yeah, it's like in fact that was a lot of the criticism against it for a while, because there was like a long period of time when it was like in vogue to just like shit on this movie. About how it was like it was just a lame melodrama, like all the characters, they say each other's name, like every other line's it's like, oh Jack, oh you, like type of back and forth. But that was like later on, it's like that's kind of like the point of the movie, like it's supposed to be like a melodramatic portrayal of a class-based love story. I don't.
Yeah. So what is the duration of this? Does anyone remember? Does it take place like in a day, multiple days?
I think it's like
It's multiple
3
days.
days, 3 or 4
So
days.
that's like 3 or 4 days. Like it's fairly quick.
Yeah.
Okay. I only asked that because their relationship.
It also could have been like overnight practically, but I feel like at least 2 or 3 days.
I mean, I'm in front of a computer. I
Wait,
can look this up.
doesn't it start when the ship departs and then it ends when the ship sinks, for the most part?
Yeah.
Or you mean like the majority of the plot though, like takes place over like just like a couple days?
Okay, so
the
Titanic's maiden voyage was 4 days.
Mm.
So I
that's
guess
not-
that would be their relationship, because they met on the departure and they made it through to the end, because a lot of shit happened.
At least in like the first night that she's on the ship, she tried to
a
fall
lot of
off.
characters. Yeah.
Damn, Jack's a little love bomber.
Like at first, I mean, the whole thing is like everyone. It's kind of a game of like who's more of a narcissist and who's crazier. That they're all fucking nuts.
Be a little fun on a ship, you know what I mean?
I mean, everyone just went crazy like fucking immediately. I'm like, damn,
Stays
you're
on
on
the
the
ship,
shittiest boat. Like, get a drink and shut up.
Because no
That's-
one
that sea air, that's salt water getting their fucking.
I think it was the
senses.
anticipation of like the new life and what was coming was what made all of the emotions heightened. That it wasn't just like a cruise ship and a vacation. It was more like you're setting sail to your new life. And that made everything more intense. It's kind of like graduating college or like getting married and life is happening and you're like, oh fuck, this is where I'm headed. And
oh yeah, life is happening. Draw me naked. Like
also, you got to consider Jack didn't even think that he was going to be on this ship.
Exactly.
He gambled and got the tickets. So for him, like if I was in his position, I'd be going crazy too.
Yeah. Now, Brandon, also as a note, throughout all of my time in college, when I had to have life drawing, every single time you would yell at me to draw you like one of my French girls.
I would.
One in Rome.
You did. It was like drawing me like one of your French girls.
Never did.
I never did. No.
Nope.
Hey, there's still time.
Nobody wants to see that.
I was doing photos at one of the Fused Underground shows, and this girl's like, "You can take photos of me naked."
Oh.
Yeah. But I was married at the time. I was like, "No, I'm sorry, I'm married."
No, I'm good.
It's
and then
art.
she was like,
Yeah, Rose didn't say
"What?"
that.
Yeah. Didn't care.
Yeah. So it's actually really funny too, because like right before they shot that scene, like when Kate Winslet found out that she had to be naked for that scene, fucking she went up to Leonardo DiCaprio without even like saying to him and just straight up flashed him just to like make it easier for when they were on the
ripping the Band-Aid off.
Back then there wasn't things like the intimacy coaches, and there wasn't as many like regulations like keeping anyone safe or considerate. I would say they probably should have had a private space to just like get the giggles out, see her, move on, you know.
Yeah, well, I think, but I do think though, in terms of a professional relationship, it's good. It's the kind of thing of like, they did it on their own. Well, she did it on her own time without him knowing.
I think in today's world would be very different. But
I think respectfully, that was probably the better of the moves to just be like, you're gonna see it anyway. Like instead of burning all this film and wasting time. But I think in her case, I mean, we've all seen Eternal Sunshine. She's fucking wild. So I think it kind of fits for her as a human as well as a character actress. This is what we're all gonna do.
I mean, I'm sure she's also significantly younger at that point, so I'm sure it's very like anxiety inducing to you just have to do it and get over it. Because you didn't really see her during the sex scene, though. It was only during that. So it wasn't like you're both in this moment together. She's completely exposed and he's completely clothed. So it's not really like, oh, we're doing this.
Yeah, what were you saying, Chris?
Well, they're actors. You think they'd be completely professional about it? You know what I mean? Like they're trying to like achieve an illusion for this scene. If that involves like the scene says this, that, and the other, like it's trying to achieve like this like intimate moment, you know?
It's so from experience of working on sets with nudity, it's very, very, it doesn't matter how professional you are. It is very tough. It's very awkward. It's very like you're opening up a whole other sense of vulnerability. It doesn't matter how professional that the people carry themselves, because it's not necessarily just on the actors, it's on the crew. You know, you get a lot of people that, and Jill and I have both seen it working on the same set, people who were like, I need to be in that room. Like, no, the fuck you don't, bud. Like, you don't need to be there.
You had a reason to be in a room. Like, you don't need to be there.
It makes it very awkward and very uncomfortable for the actors that when people are surrounding them. Like,
so I think what it is like the other actors together are in the same boat and being professional. It's the crew that might not be as used to it, but that's why in today's world, for many reasons, why they have intimacy coaches to help navigate that conversation to make sure that everyone's safe. But to me, that also comes down to like the producer and director to talk about expectation on set, having a plan ahead of time on who needs to be in the room, how that's going to be handled. Like when we worked on different sets, I was outside of a room with a robe, and as soon as they said cut, I would run in, grab, throw her a robe and give her moment to collect herself, and then we start again and whatever it had to be. But I think it comes down to everyone involved, and I think especially at that level of production, they should know better. At some point, you have to be like, haha, boobies, and move on.
Did they not have like anything like that on the set of Titanic?
Intimacy coordinators weren't. They were within the last like 10 years or so.
Oh wow.
Maybe a lot longer than that. So maybe like 15 years. But
here's the expectation. Deal with it. Essentially.
Yeah.
Basically, a lot of the time I imagine for the actor's perspective, they're saying you should just be glad to be here. But the other thing is that when an actor is exposed on set, there's also a pay bump that they get for being exposed. So there's a mixed bag where you're like, well, you're all here to make money, and you're like, sure, I'm going to agree to this because I need money, but you have to make sure that they're also mentally and physically okay with what they need. So there's a lot of like, in today's world, I think we've learned better to communicate that.
Well, the other thing is too, like something had to have happened because we didn't get proper gun handlings until the unfortunate death of Brandon Lee and The Crow. Speaking of death, let's talk about the whole reason why we're here. We're going to talk about the actual kill and death of this because show of hands of who thinks Kate Winslet's character killed Jack by not letting him on the door.
Wow, just you and me? All right, that's fine.
My opinion is nuanced.
I think she could have tried. We could have tried a little harder and be like, oh no, she like didn't even try.
I want to get into let me do the specs first, and then we'll get into opinions and talking about the actual death. Because the specs for this, from a filmmaking perspective, is pretty fucking cool with like, you know, everything that they did for it. So a lot of things like I've said before, they were in like basically like a 4-foot deep pool and everything like that. So the door itself, the door in quotations marks, is the piece of wood that was specifically an engineered prop designed to hold the actors. So it was already designed to hold both of them as a prop that it could have worked. That it was meant to hold the actors with its testing its stability, that they both could have been able to be on the fucking door regardless of it. Some of the visual effects for it, James Cameron famously used real breath vapor from the actors in the cold water rather than CGI to sell the freezing atmosphere.
Jesus.
He's trying to fucking kill these people on
Yeah,
set.
he could have kept them warm if he wanted to. It was an artistic decision.
There was this one other bit that I thought was really fucking insane. So, okay, here we go. James Cameron infamously threatened to fire anyone who would dare get out of the tank for a bathroom break while shooting the lifeboat scenes, leading to more than a few actors, including Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio, relieving themselves in the water.
Oh no.
I don't know why that needs to be information that was shared, but okay. Like why that was
because it's all the specs for the bit. Like,
no, the idea of like refusing. Sure, did we need to list off like who peed in the pool? Like that feels really like mean.
I did it.
Hey,
yeah.
It just feels mean. Like,
you know?
You're the reason why I didn't go to the public school. We had the swimmo as a kid, and someone shat in the pool. We never fucking went.
Yep, that's great. I would like to say before we get into the whole actual scene of him dying, like because we rewatched it recently, so I keep thinking about it. All of the moments leading up to that door, of like as the boat is going down, all of the powerful shots that they had of watching them, all of the instruction he gave her of like how to. He's making it up as he's going, but he was so confident with trying to survive, and telling her to go on the railing in a certain way, and like when to swim and how to kick and like do all these things in that moment that they lose each other when they first hit the water, and like that chaos of are they going to find each other and all of this. And it really built up all of the emotions, not knowing that first time. No, like I don't think any of us remember the initial like first time, or if we did, I don't. But you don't know if they're going to find each other in this chaos and all of the things that are happening. So the whole emotional roller coaster that they went through to then get to each other, to get to that door, and then what happens with the door is just kind of like insane. Everything he did for her to keep her safe, and how confident he was to like, he had no idea what the fuck he was doing. Of like making up, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. You're just good at lying and you're pretty about it. Like,
yeah, well,
This
keeping
water
everything,
was
like he did such a great job with like being confident and directing her and helping her get from one phase to the other. Didn't help anyone the fuck around him. They're just like, nope, you and me, everybody else is done. Fuck everyone else. But bitch could have shared the door. She could have tried.
They were too
Oh,
they were suffering from hypothermia. There was no way. Like she was probably barely able to get on there herself.
I think it would have been nice to have like a shot or two of a struggle of like her like trying, and he says, no, I want you to get like, like try to hold the door open for someone, like I try to like you're not in it.
Yeah, like I mean, they could have shown like he tried to get on, but like couldn't do it because he was too cold.
Yeah, and then like watch the door flip over or something. They could have had a little more like.
It kind of goes with the melodrama though. The damsel in distress is saved by the male protagonist.
Yes, but the whole time she was a damsel in distress. It would have been really nice for her. She started building a backbone at some point, and then it went away. Like she punched the guy in the one hallway to try to get back to Jack. Like she started building herself. She was no longer the prim and proper girl, and then it kind of just like went away.
It's also interesting to think of it in terms of, the opinion of the movie, the showing the struggle between a love story with these two classes. Because like you said, Jill, Jack kind of guides her through this tragedy throughout the entire thing. And then at the end of it, she still is the only one on the door.
Yeah. Well, I think it says something about like the different class. Like when you've gone through things in your life, when the shit's hitting the fan, to step to the side of the fan. She's never had to step to the side. She does know how to survive. His entire existence has been survival, and he got creative about it. Everything's been handed to her.
And she got the door.
She got the door.
See, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, he didn't say move over, but she also didn't say. I don't know, should have
implied like, hey, scoot over, like.
But you couldn't offer it.
I really want to believe that he could not get on board because they never really show that. You know what I mean? Like I really want to believe that this was because they were dying of hypothermia. And
I think the idea that I would rather have seen it be the way the old couple was, where you're so in love after 4 days that you might as well both try to like semi hang on and die together than like one of you just like drowned by himself.
I will never understand why she survives and he dies when they could have done that.
Yeah. I guess because they felt like they already did that with the old couples. They're like, oh, let's do something else now. Like one couple died, moving on. Like I get why it went the way it did, and it's very nice and whatever. I think then she has the audacity to take his fucking name in the end by the way, after 4 days, and she takes his last name, and that's privileged little shit.
They loved each other, and this was the idea at the time.
You don't love anything after 4 days.
Well, they were young,
Yeah. But all right, then put it this way then. Like she took his name, they were in love, sure, but it also did not stop her from finding someone else later in life and reproducing.
He told her to when he was dying in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she listened to that. She listened to take your clothes off, and she listened to go reproduce. She has selective hearing.
That's exactly
that would be a good sequel to Titanic. Just like following her life as like a miserable, like in a shitty marriage or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just cursing Jack's name every time.
I mean, I do understand the idea. Like it was just ridiculous that after all of that what's his face is survived too, and like you still, after everything, you're not gonna be like, oh hey, I live too. Like he's looking for why am I forgetting his name?
Who are you talking about?
The one that survived, the douchebag that should have died.
Did he survive?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got on a lifeboat and he like.
Oh,
he's like, I have a child, and then he like forgot about the child.
Oh, what about that?
So like afterwards, when she takes the name and she says like her name, like she says her now name, he's in the background and he's looking for her to see if she survived.
Oh,
right. Yeah, so
he was like an abusive asshole and like wanted her for the money that she didn't have. He was still trying to look for her, and she would rather make a new life on her own by herself with her fake name of 4 days than to tell him. And
so to cherry pick from a previous episode, former guest James had a plan that he hijacked our show, and instead of calling it Kill of the Week, it's who should have been killed of the week, which we have graciously taken. So thank you, James, for that one. So I think we're all in agreement that Billy Zane should have been the one that died in this movie.
I can also argue that I think Billy Zane could have also been recasted as Leo's character too, and that would have been fine. Johnny Depp or Billy Zane. Been beautiful boys. Yeah.
No, Billy Zane got the Phantom though.
I mean, he's just a beautiful boy. Yes, technically he should have died. He was a bad person.
He should have died. He sucked.
No, actually, I could fight it. I think her mother should have died more than in addition to Billy Zane.
Oh yeah,
No, that's fair.
Her mother was bad.
that's true.
She should have died with Jack.
Yes.
I've yeah, the answer is all of them is the answer.
Yeah. It should have just been a full tragedy, no survival.
There's a reason this shit.
But save that like little old couple that Brandon doesn't care about.
They should have survived.
They should have lived.
Well, they were old anyway. They were going to die.
Everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I would say like if
It
you
was
were in
the
that situation, like,
1910s. They were probably in their like early 40s or something.
They got a scraped knee. They were done.
I mean, I gotta say though, if you were in that situation, would you fight to survive from the boat? And if you didn't get on a lifeboat, would you try to survive the water, or just kill yourself?
See, it's funny because when I was younger, I guess I didn't realize that the water was cold, and I was like, why aren't they just swimming
in the ocean?
Why don't they just swim? Can't be that hard to paddle.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. That's a good question. I think I would have given up personally. If that's the sense, it would have been making amends with my life to be like, all right, like we're going down. Like
Jack couldn't move.
Yeah, I would have shoved both of them off of that door, actually.
Yeah, I think I would have given up. I don't think with the chaos of everyone fighting to get to the lifeboats, I would have just rather have enjoyed my last couple minutes than to die screaming and falling down a ship in cold water and everything else.
I probably would have been drinking and half-heartedly trying to survive the evening.
No, I would have gone to the food and been like, I'm going to die with cake in my hand. Might as well go out.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out.
Yeah, might as well go out with some food.
Music.
Yeah.
So I want to do a quick little shout out reference of something I saw actually this morning before filming. I gotta find it. So there's this one animator that I follow. They're on Instagram and on YouTube and stuff like that. I want to say they're called Natural. I think they're like Natural Habitat Shorts. So Natural Habitat Shorts. Highly recommend everybody follow this person. They do these great animations about animals that are like comedic, but it tells you like a fact about that animal and things like that. Like one of my favorites is it's two crows getting ready for Halloween, and he dresses up as a scarecrow and he scares himself, and it's just fucking adorable. But the short that I saw today came out last week was about fire ants. And really, really cool thing is that when fire ants get submerged in water, they take the larvae of the babies and they basically form a raft with the larvae, and they'll let the larvae kind of float them to safety. They basically like sacrifice the babies kind of thing.
You can make more babies.
But the short was they recreated the Titanic with the fire ants, and they made little lifeboats out of the larvae, and they had the little Jack fire ant in the water floating while blanking on Kate Winslet's character's name. But what is it?
Rose.
So Rose is on the baby larva, and little Aunt Jack is saying, yeah, just move on over. We can both fit. We can do this.
Yeah.
I learned something today from that. Some of the other like cool things, like going back into like the tech stuff about this, is that they used a bunch of stunt doubles to kind of like position them before they actually threw the actors in. So James Cameron nearly killed 2 other people before killing our main actors with that.
Yeah, how did they break bones?
Yeah, I do need to know that information.
Do we know that? You said that the stunt doubles broke their bones?
Oh, with how cold like the water is and temperature, like you become very frail. And you got to imagine the stunt doubles are acting as the people falling into the water. So once you're already kind of freezing,
It's like
and
a slip and slide from hell.
yeah. So you're falling in and your body's hitting temperatures that it shouldn't even hit. Like you're getting that hypothermia, you're getting infections, like it's just not natural. So the piece of wood paneling that Rose floated on after the sinking is based on a genuine artifact that survived the sinking is on display at the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic in Nova Scotia, Canada. Though it was scaled larger to provide significant buoyance as a life raft for Rose. So they made it bigger for the movie than the actual thing that it was based on.
So he couldn't have fit on it, is what I'm hearing.
In real life, but in the film, considering that it's larger, could have worked.
No, I mean, we can talk about Mythbusters. Like, they proved that technically they could have shared the life raft or shared the door, but the only thing that I'll give them is that they said, like, oh, you take your life jacket and you tie it under in a certain way, and then it could have worked. I'm like, no one has the time to think of that in the moment.
Yeah.
So even though they argued that she could have technically shared the door if she had taken off her life vest and tied it around the door in a certain way, like, that's not.
No, but
that's
they also, I think they also said, like, regardless of him getting on the door, they would have died anyway of hypothermia.
It's not a question that they both would have died. It's like morally, like, you shouldn't have been an asshole and like should have at least tried to like save him. Or you're so in love after 4 days, you should have wanted to die together.
Yeah.
And like what? She spent all that time saving him from drowning in the bottom of the ship just to not scooch over.
Yeah, the whole thing was like wanting to be together, and then you're like, "No, I'm good. You can go now. I'm done with you. You got me where I needed to go."
Oh no! Guess we're at the end of it, and there's only room for one. So
yeah, should have been better in that car.
I mean, she was good enough to get herself that far. So I mean, you know, she used what she needed to.
Yeah, she did it. She done it. She's done.
Okay, you know, I'm doing some research here. It looks like James Cameron himself was asked about this. And he says that it, quote, it says on page 147 that Jack dies. Very simple. Obviously, it was an artistic choice. The thing was just big enough to hold her and not big enough to hold him.
Period.
Had he lived, the ending of the film would have been meaningless. The film is about death and separation. He had to die. So whether it was that or whether a smokestack fell on him, he was going down.
Yeah.
I think it's all kind of silly, really, that we're having this discussion 20 years later, but it does show that the film was effective in making Jack so endearing to the audience that it hurts them to see him die. So that's,
you know,
Cameron, what he said.
That is the like slowest, biggest pat on the back to yourself as a writer so hard.
Yeah,
I do agree.
You know
I think that like they definitely absolutely had done it.
From him, yeah.
Well, if you think about it, like everything just feels like a constant Romeo and Juliet. So like, what if they had both lived, and then you see them get to New York, and then they're fighting in like a studio apartment in Brooklyn? Like,
that would be cool too.
That would be. Yeah, exactly. Like it absolutely has to be that great love that's loved and lost. Like it makes sense. It's more, it's not the argument that he died, it's the fact that they didn't really fight to stay together.
No, I know that. But so wait, are you thinking that like the mom would have been so against this relationship that she would have booted Rose out of the mansion?
There was no mansion.
Did the mom survive?
Yes. So if you remember from the beginning, she's taught like, so if the whole thing from the beginning is that she was supposed to marry what's his face,
Billy Zane.
Billy Zane. I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. She was supposed to marry him because she thought he had money and he thought she had money. They were using each other because the idea was like her father, Rose's father, like made bad deals and they lost all of their fortune. So this was their last chance to like have a proper life.
Yeah, I missed all of that.
Yes, and then Billy Zane had what I maybe similar, faking it better, that he was using her for her money, which is why he was so adamant about staying together. I'm like, you're going to be my wife and you're this and that. He wanted her money, which didn't actually exist because there was I think it was during like the scene when she was like getting the corset put on, but they were talking about like them struggling financially and that they'd sold off everything they had in order to get their tickets to get on the boat. So
By the net
technically, the mother was expecting that she would have married well. She would have taken her with her. So Rose, Billy Zane, and mother would have lived together. And, you know, but also at that moment in time, everyone thought that America had roads paved with gold. So it was the land of opportunity. So they thought that they would be able to make a better life. The two of them didn't realize that no one had any money. And then Jack was the only one who was honest that he was poor. So all of them would have been poor no matter what when they got to New York. Now, granted, ironically, she had like fucking Monets that are just floating in the water that would have, you know.
He was still alive at the time. It didn't matter.
I know. Just like, oh, I found this new artist, Picasso. And then
so you're telling me
that's what I'm more upset about is like the paintings that might have been lost versus like this dumb bitch and her nudity.
So you're telling me that the subplot of the Titanic of class war was cherry picked for Corpse Bride for Tim Burton?
Yes. Except they didn't have a dog.
God
Dead or alive. Never would have, but I mean, it was like it was the whole thing of like everyone was faking it to get to the next thing. And then you're on the boat and you're trying to be your best version of yourself and live this proper life. And you're playing pretend. And they all just died. So, yeah.
All right. I'm going to stop us right there for a second. Does anybody have any other? I'm going to go into like final thoughts because we're hitting our hour mark right now. So is anyone have anything more that they want to talk about in terms of the door floating and Jack and Rose?
No. I mean, I have my final thoughts.
All right, cool. So we're going to go, I'm going to go right now. I'm just going to write this time code down and we're going to go in the final thoughts for that. So we are at 58 minutes here. So so with all of that and all of our information of the Titanic, Chris, I'm going to start with you and going into our final thoughts here. Why don't you let us know your final thoughts on the Jack Rose door debacle?
Well, in the context of the story, I am pro Rose. In the context of reality, yeah, I would very much have liked to see, you know, Jack make more of an effort to survive, like Rose make more of an effort to try to help Jack. But the whole point of the movie was that it was like not the point of the movie, but it was crafted as a melodrama. And I think that, like, as I quoted James Cameron, like him not being able to get on the door is kind of like expected of that. What was told up to that point. So anything else would have been way too jarring to the theme of the movie. So I think that I'm just gonna suspend my disbelief and just assume that they were dying from hypothermia and that Rose was the only one able to get on that door.
All right, Moll, how about you? Your final thoughts?
I think Rose should have died with her mans. I think it would have added suspense if she had let him on to the door and then she ended up living anyways. Kind of like a closing the scene on we don't know if they're both going to survive, and then you find out that he's dead. But I think she should have died with him.
All right. Awesome. Carly?
I think that I do agree that it probably should have tried, but I think that the trial they would have both drowned because the door would have had water on it and they would have died. So it's like, maybe they all should have died.
All right.
They all should have died.
For my final thoughts, you know, I'm going to have a tie between agreeing with both Carly and Chris. I think the idea of, suspending the suspension of disbelief of like, it is a melodramatic film. It is a well-crafted romance, Romeo and Juliet, Lady and the Tramp type story that she needed to survive. But no, I think it would have been more of a this is just me as a human. I think it would have been more of a better story if they all died in a loving embrace, to have them all go. And, you know, we didn't need a future with the both of them. We didn't need a future of just her. And you know what? Fuck her for throwing the goddamn fucking necklace over the goddamn railing. We did not need to have that happen. You know, some sentiments are meant to be cashed in. Like, she could have paved the way for her grandchildren to keep that fucking thing.
Years later, some billionaire is gonna, you know, implode trying to scoop that thing up. So, you know.
Yeah, James Cameron's gonna go down for his 13th trip and pick that fucking necklace up. So to wrap it all up, Jill, give us your final thoughts since this was your kill.
I mean, I know it had to happen the way that it did. We weren't going to get happy ending when they lived together. I do think she could have tried a little harder to save her man that she was in love with after 4 days. She was so adamant about staying together and, you know, fighting to the end, and then you just like gave up and you're like, all right, cool, you can die. I'm done with you now. It was really upsetting. I do think that the very final like ending scene, or one of the ending scenes where you see all of them dead and on the boat and everyone's happy on the boat, is this weird. It was beautiful, but weird looking back. They're like, great, all their souls are just stuck on this freaking boat and they're all just waiting for her to show up. Like, this bitch is not that important to everyone's lives. Like, I know it's supposed to be like her dream and her dying is very pretty. It happened the way I guess it was expected to. But I wish her character had more growth. Like, she had a lot of potential of growing from like damsel in distress and becoming stronger, and then she kind of went backwards again. I also think it's really greedy and bitchy to throw the necklace in the ocean again. Like, it was the heart of the ocean. It wasn't like made from anything in the ocean. It didn't need to go back to it. No one. You have this dude that's next to you that spent his entire life trying to get to this necklace, and you have it in your pocket the whole time. Really? And you imagine like how her granddaughter would have felt, like, oh, all those times like you're living with me and I have to take care of you, and you have a necklace that could have paved the way for our entire generation to pay their bills. Like, it's like winning the lottery and keeping it silent. Like,
another reflection of her class.
Yeah. It's just weird. It's just, I know it's meant to be like romantic and beautiful and all this crap, but it's just when she's like, oh, and then just like throws it in the ocean. Like, what is wrong with you?
You know,
what is wrong with you? Have you not pissed off enough people that you have to throw the necklace in the ocean too?
Have you learned?
Later, I want someone to walk up and see it as it just splashes in, and then they throw her into the ocean. Like, here, go be with your necklace. Bye.
Well, you know what film actually does that and rectifies that whole idea? Jim Carrey's The Mask. At the end of the mask, he throws the Loki mask into the Hudson, and his one friend goes, "That is a powerful mask that you put it on, and you become this superhuman. I'm going the fuck in there and getting it."
Yeah.
And he leaps off the side of the bridge to get the fucking mask.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
That's the problem with melodrama, is that, you know, they're like, I feel like the female character never has agency. You know, they're just kind of like victims, you know? Like, she's not going to assert herself to try to save Jack because she doesn't have any assertive power as the female character in the melodrama.
She had one moment where she punched someone in the face to get back to him.
Right.
And then that was it. She got tired.
She was past that, but
I was tired of growing up with all the movies where there's the damsel in distress and no one can do anything for themselves and waiting for the man to save you. I'm like, come on. Like, we've grown a lot since then, and I get why it had to be that way. I would love to see Titanic redone with like a gay couple or something, and been like, equality, bitch. We save ourselves, we save each other, or we don't, we die.
Well, you got to remember, it was still 97 when this movie came out.
Yeah.
So they were like just passing a lot of those kind of tropes.
Yeah, it doesn't really excuse it, but still.
No, it doesn't excuse it. It'll never be an excuse, but it was the idea of like, we were just bridging those gaps around like those early to mid 90s with, films like The Birdcage and things like that, where you're able to have those types of conversations more openly and easier.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean, I think like based on that moment in time, like it makes sense on why they had the roles that they did. It just she was a strong character that was starting to push against what was expected of her, and I just wanted her to be better.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
were
but I
going
mean-
for hypothermia though, so you know.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
even before that, it was all of it. And then it's like some of it, I'm like, did she need to be naked? Did we need that? Like, was that really necessary for her?
Well, I think it was. It totally was. But you have to also remember, it totally was because it was her rebelling against everything that she was taught against.
She
or
didn't
that
rebel
was
when she had
taught.
sex with him in the car?
Well,
Or like
she had
dancing
the
like under the
she
boat?
had to show nips first before they got in the car. That's just kind of how it worked with them.
You wouldn't have seen it when he got in the car? I wouldn't have.
It was the romanticizing gesture.
Yeah.
Either way, it was also 1910. The film takes place in 1910. So
1920.
anything that she was doing was already rebelling against the norm. You know, something tells me that she would have been the first in her family to wear pants at that time and really freak people out. So like with what she what?
That's so scary.
Yeah, exactly.
Show those ankles, those whore
Yeah.
ankles.
All for Cyrus. All for Cyrus.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I understand where her role is, and it's hard to look at it with present day mindset. Looking at a movie that was made in the '90s that took place in the 1910s, like
yeah.
it makes sense. It's just
It does, like, and like Chris said, like it's not an excuse of it. It's
Yeah.
just like just kind of how it
you
was.
could have
but
handled that in Titanic 2 or 3.
she was still a little rabble rouser, and that was still her thing of being the rebellious teen against her mom and wanting to be with the bad boy, and turned out to be Leo, and she still killed him. Doesn't really matter.
You didn't kill him.
She should die with her man.
Well, she
He
didn't
had
save him
no
either.
agency. Like she should have,
I
but she
know.
didn't because it was 1997
I
and
mean-
people didn't want to see that in a blockbuster film.
I mean, they could have pulled like a little bit of it line and like, oh, do you trust me? And also a relationship that you don't even know the person either. And
I'll say this shit was Aladdin. Like it's
yeah,
he was the fucking
no, he
street
wasn't
rat.
ever pretending to be rich. I mean, he only dressed up for the one dinner.
Could you imagine if Robin Williams was in this as like a genie or something? Like they're all consulting Robin Williams, like a CGI Robin Williams, just like, well, I'm in love with this guy, but like I have to marry this other dude. Like, what do I do? And he's just like, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would have been something.
That would have been
We
something.
got on the cargo hold.
He turns his little friend into an elephant, and it's just all on the boat and hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
He tries to save the boat from sinking, but he's not strong enough.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
He could have at least beat himself into an entire lifeboat and saved everyone except for the mother and Billy Zane. Everyone but you two.
Well, they already used up all their 3 wishes, so
Damn.
And on that note, since we have made Titanic of the Lamp, I want to thank everybody for joining us on this week's edition of Kill of the Week. Does anyone have any socials that they want to share? Nobody following you guys?
I don't know. 8213 desserts. It's also about death. I kill people, someone killed people.
Do they go in the desserts?
I put bodies in the desserts. If
killing
there's a
cakes.
few people that would understand the reference of why 8213 is a reference to people dying, I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
You can follow me on Instagram, Rockstar State.
Hell yeah. And don't feel obligated. You don't have to feel obligated to put your social in there. For this, it's like everything's under Jerks Productions. That's where you can find all of our short films and stuff. Everything is online for free. As of this recording, you can see one of our newest films, part of our, actually, no, not even a film, but episode of our web series, 7 Deadly Series. Consumption is up based on the 7 Deadly Sins. Also, at the time of this recording, on March 19th, in On April 19th at Or Libs in Philadelphia, our short film Pink the Clown is going to be playing with the Bloodsick Productions Film Festival, the underground film festival there. So we're going to have a short film in that, which is pretty rad. You can follow me personally on Letterboxd, where every movie that we talk about, I watch ahead of time, obviously, for us to talk about, and I give it a rating and have fun on Letterboxd at Falcone123.
What did you rate Titanic?
What did I rate Titanic?
Whoa, what a good question.
Let's see. Let me go into my Letterboxd here. Letterboxd is fun because I just really enjoy Letterboxd. I like talking movies with people on there. It's really cool. It's really fun. Let's see. Titanic. I gave Titanic 3.5 stars.
Damn, you an asshole. Those old people, you're just like, fuck those old people? Like, why?
No, I appreciate it as a film, but again, it's not a film that's fully in my wheelhouse. I can appreciate everything that it has done for cinema. I can appreciate it as being a good movie. It's not up there for me. Because if you look on my Letterboxd, the film that I watched after that, I rated 1, 2, 3, 4 with 5 stars. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. So,
well, that answers that one.
Yep.
You're cinematic.
I'm a very simple boy. That's all I'm going to say. And with that, thank you, everybody. And we will see you in 2 weeks with a new episode of Kill of the Week.
I forgot how it goes, actually.
Wait.
What are you trying to sing?
I'm a sing the Titanic song.
I didn't get that from what you were doing.
Wherever you go.
Yeah, that song made that entire fucking movie. We would not have cared about that Titanic without that song.
Okay, fine. I want to end it with this. Everyone go listen to the Puddles Pity Party cover of Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On, because he turns it into Metallica and it fucking rolls.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.